Hi everyone, welcome back to the Oat Milk Lesbians, and today we have a special episode with you guys. As you can see, we have two guests with us, Adam and Anjuli, and this episode is going to be lesbians talking to Christians.
It's gonna be an interesting one.
Yes,
Oh my god, yeah. So do you all want to introduce yourselves?
My name is Anjuli. I'm 25 years old. That's all. I'm a Christian.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I'm Adam. I'm also 25, also a Christian.
Hello. Hi everyone.
Hi.
Okay, so just to preempt y'all, the reason why we're fucking recording this episode is because we just want to have conversations with people who have different value systems and different beliefs than we do. Because every single guest episode that we have, it's always with people who kind of align with how we view things lah. So the thing is that it's always really easy to just talk to people who are super like-minded. But what's not easy is to have a civil conversation with people you don't agree with.
Yes.
So yeah.
So honestly, this episode was very informative and also very enlightening for us. And we hope that you guys will feel that way too. Because it's not every day that you can have intersectional conversations like that.
Yes. So try not to cancel anyone in this episode. Just shut up and watch with an open mind. That's
Yes.
it. Just shut up and watch with an open mind. Full
Yes.
Stop. Okay, that's it.
Yep.
Okay, continue watching the episode. Bye-bye.
Okay, what are your own interpretations of being queer as Christian people?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, so for me, I would say that a lot of you guys, I heard also in your previous podcast, you all kept, and from what you said with the other Christian people that told you, right, being gay is wrong. I disagree with that. I don't think so. And I don't think it's being gay is wrong because is being aggressive wrong? If I was born with aggressive tendency, was I wrong? Right? There are things that we are born with that are part of our nature, but doesn't necessarily mean it's sinful. For me, I think what's sinful is the act of it. For example, if I was born rude, I don't care who you are, I'll speak, screw you, F you, all the language will come out every time. If I got something pisses me off, short fuse, boom, I blow up. If I'm just like me and not doing anything now, I just have that tendency, am I wrong for that? To me, I don't think it's sinful lah. For me, it's only when I act upon that nature of mine, then it's sinful. So for me, I would say that it's actually the act of homosexual behaviors that are sinful. And specifically, I'm talking about sexual intercourse lah. Because look, heterosexuality, is it sinful? It's neither is or isn't. Heterosexuality, practice of it outside the confines of marriage, is sinful, right? Biblically, you all read the Bible, you all know this, right? But it's not only that, the sexual things that were mentioned in the Bible as well is things like incest. I think we all agree that's wrong.
That is
Pedophilia.
Universally wrong.
Yeah, right.
What the-
Incest, pedophilia, rape. These are all sexual things that in the Bible it is described to be sinfully wrong, right? Look, I don't know. There might be people out there that might have a natural tendency for children. I don't know. There might be, right?
I still think that's kind of fucked up.
No, but would you say out of the 8 billion people, there's no one that's like that?
No,
I would say maybe there is, right?
Yeah.
But would I say if that person's not acting upon that sin, is he still sinning? I don't think so. If he's not acting upon that sin, it's not a sinful. Because to describe an act as sinful, it is an act that must be conducted. You can't say a being is sinful just by being. Being is just a state of existence, right? Sinful is the act of an action. Yeah, so that's how I would define it, which is why I honestly don't think homosexuality, being a homosexual is not wrong. And so I understand that the way your church brought you guys up is that was what you guys were taught, and hence the amount of guilt and grief and sort of shit that you guys put on yourself because of that while you guys were Christians at the time. I can understand that, but honestly my position is I don't think so lah. Of course, when you look at the Christian literature, there are a variety of views on it, but I would say the view that I hold right now, that being homosexual is not sinful, acting upon it is. I think it's quite a common Orthodox Christian thinking right now among the bigger mainstream denominations of Christianity. Yeah, so I don't think it is. And also, if you guys, do you guys watch Jubilee?
No, what's that?
Jubilee, you guys watch on YouTube, Jubilee is where they have this middle ground thing. They have they bring in people who have different viewpoints, and then they say like a liberal versus non-liberal. Yeah, you guys should watch 2 episodes. One was liberal Christianity versus progressive Christianity. Conservative Christians versus progressive Christians, and another one which is I forgot which one but there was 2 videos lah. And basically they were just talking about their different viewpoints lah on this. And there was one guy actually who was homosexual. He confesses to have that natural attraction and tendency, but because he believes that based on the Bible it's wrong and that it's a sin to act upon it, he chooses to remain, in some sense you could say, a celibate. Now, to what degree is he successful in living a whole life of celibacy? I don't know lah. But in that video, he made the claim that I am choosing to do that. And why? Because I choose to live according to God's will lah. That's his choice. And then there was another pastor who's the opposite side of the spectrum, a senior pastor that was an out and open homosexual who had a husband and everything, right? Married, all that, who thought the opposite. And the guy was just like, aren't you miserable? The guy said that, it's like, then that guy was like, no, because the joy of my Lord is my strength. I know it sounds damn cheesy lah, but that's what he answered lah. And who are we to then point to him and say that's wrong?
Yeah.
You know, so for me, I think it's an orthodox Christian thinking to say that I don't think being one is wrong. I think acting upon it is lah. You know, so, but then again, who isn't a sinful person here, right? In Christianity, every single person, I don't care what sexual orientation, I don't care what gender, I don't care what race, everyone is a sinful person lah. And at the end of the day, the reason why Jesus had to die on the cross is for us to be forgiven of that sins lah, to take that pain away lah.
So we need to keep sinning.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that before like, why not I just like when I die only then I pray to the Lord lah.
I kind of agree with that to a certain extent, because I think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, there's somewhere in the Bible that says even the thoughts, like, you didn't murder someone but you thought about doing it is already considered a sin. But I do agree with that. Even though you have thoughts or like homosexual tendencies like that, but you don't act upon it, it's not committing a sin. I do agree with that. I think the fact that it said something like even your thoughts is equal to sinning is more of like telling you that even though you didn't actually do it, but the fact that you thought about it means that you have to kind of reflect on yourself. Means like, for example, if you know that you're not supposed to be doing something, but you still think about like, oh, okay, it's okay if I do it, like I could get away with it. Even though you didn't actually do it, you have to kind of like reflect on yourself. Like, why did I think that I could get away with it? Or why did I even think of doing something when I know I'm not supposed to? That's what I think lah. And I mean, again, it could, different people have different interpretations, but like you said lah, as long as everybody just does good, don't do harm to other people, I think that's as good as, that's as good as anything lah.
Yeah, I think there's one verse in the Bible which mentions something like that. Something like, even the lust of your eyes, tear it out. If every Christian lived the Bible literally, everyone would be blind. Right? Because everyone will be pulling their eyes out, because everyone is human. We all have this biology, unless you're asexual, is that the term? People that don't really have any sexual attractions. Right? Unless you're asexual, then they are the only ones that can see. Everyone else will be just blind. So I think, like, for me, there are degrees of sin. For me, I feel like certain sins are worse than others. Like, if I lie, I'm not saying that you should lie, but if I lie compared to if I kill someone, clearly the level of sin is deeper in that regard lah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
Yeah, I feel the same too. I feel like one thing that I was taught a lot in church is that all sin is equal. But it doesn't seem like it's practiced that way. At least because they are more condescending to people who are gay than like people who aren't. But also, I don't think killing someone is the same as telling a lie. You should not kill anybody unless it's for self-defense and you accidentally killed someone in the process, then fine. But also like I just feel like my opinion about sin back then, before I denounced religion completely, now my viewpoint is not like that. But like back then, I've always felt like, I think one of the things that push me to the edge of not believing anymore is that I feel like sometimes sin teaches you something. Sinning sometimes like is a gateway for you to experience life that is supposed to teach you something. Because like, okay, let's say, I think this is what I went through was something that a lot of people went through in their lives. You you do all kinds of things in your 20s where it teaches you what you want later in life. Because like back then, I used to, not that these are like sins or bad things. Maybe to some Christians, they are sins. Okay, I used to do a lot of drugs. I used to go party a lot, almost every weekend. Like Friday and Saturday, not just Saturday. So like all these things. And I used to like, I had actually like a bad habit of drinking for breakfast. Like,
What?
Yeah, I used to drink. I think it was when I was 19. Yeah, I used to drink wine for breakfast. It was because I was in a class where I hated the people's opinions. So I could not go to the class sober because I would get so pissed off. Like it was because
What class was that, if you don't mind me?
politics.
So then why did you
Because there were a lot of racist people in that class and I was like not having it in the morning, so I developed alcoholism. So it was like,
Hey, but they say wine is good for the heart though. That's what my parents say every time they're drinking.
Yeah.
It's good for the heart.
and it wasn't just me, like my friend also, she was taking the class with me, so we both became alcoholic like every fucking morning.
God.
The class was every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Yeah, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. 8 a.m. The class. I drank it like fucking 7:30. So
But how much do you drink? Like
one glass lah. Okay lah, not too
Yeah,
bad lah.
yeah.
But, like,
not so like until what like.
but I didn't eat anything, you know. It's like the first thing you drink in the morning. So okay, but what I'm trying to say is that I felt like my whole like alcoholism thing and also like excessively having nightlife and all these things kind of like made me a homebody now that like takes care of myself and like so okay, I don't know if that is counted as a sin. I know some people think it's a sin, some people don't think it's a sin, like in terms of Christianity. But I feel like sometimes when you do these things, it teaches you something about yourself. So sometimes you're meant to sin. Like in a way you are supposed, sometimes you need to allow yourselves to do these things to be able to realize something else later on. Not kill people lah. Like again, to emphasize, do not kill someone to realize you
need to
shouldn't
kill
be
someone
killing
to learn
people.
lessons.
It's like bare minimum, don't kill people.
No, I mean definitely mistakes is where you learn things, right? But
Yeah.
I think the position is like, are there things that are right, wrong, good, evil? I think
Yeah.
there is no obligation for us to commit a sin to know that it's a sin.
Yeah,
I don't
there are
think there's
sometimes
any
there are things like that. But sometimes also when you're young, you don't know better.
You don't know.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to treat people right. You don't know how to like, because I think like generally when you're young, you don't really know how to, a lot of people don't have the privilege of like knowing how to manage their friendships or relationships well. They don't know how to be good partners, good friends, good everything. So in return you like hurt your friends or you hurt your partners in the process because you probably had very shitty upbringing in your family or you were surrounded by friends who are not good influence. So things like that, you know. And in the moment you don't really think much of it until you were actually the person who, let's say you hurt somebody or you were the person like this happened to you, then only you realize things. Because I feel like some people sin like without knowing that
Yeah.
it's a sin. They were brought up in environments and like a lot of influences factor them into sinning or doing like shitty things. And really but I feel like at the end of the day it's just really like your own choice, you want to do better or not, because at the end of the day there are so many, I feel like these days like people know like what is objectively good. You have the internet to tell you like I mean the internet is like, full of shitty things also, but I feel like there are a lot of places for you to know like how to have healthy relationships with like your partners, your friends, yourself, like how to take care of yourself, all these kind of things. So I think people know that there are things out there. It's just whether up to you want to choose that for yourself or not. You know. So
This might be going in a separate direction, but
Yes.
actually to point on that, I would say the fact that we have objectively moral like reasons for right and wrong, right, actually point towards the existence of actually a God. I honestly believe that if there is no God in the objective sense of existing, right, then we have no rights, wrongs, good, evil. Everything is totally subjective. It's based on culture, it's based on person's opinion. Like for example, we can point towards the Nazis and what they did in World War II and say that what they did was objectively wrong. But likewise, if let's just say the Nazis won World War II, managed to conquer the whole world, converted everyone into their viewpoint of thinking that, you know, killing Jews and disabled people and gays and everything was the right thing, who are we to point to that community to say it's wrong? If there is no judge up there to say right and wrong. So for me as a Christian, right, actually that's one of the philosophical arguments for the existence of God is that for there to be such a moral law, there needs to be a moral lawgiver. For if there is no moral lawgiver, everything is totally subjective. It's based on opinions, based on culture, based on feelings. So for there to be an objective, like for example, rape, we can point towards rape and say, my opinion is wrong, but it's also objectively wrong. And for me to be able to make that objective statement, right, there must be a God that exists lah. It's not really belief in God. There's two separate things lah. Belief in God is your own psychological state. Everyone has their either believe in God, don't believe in God, believe there's multiple gods. But psychological state is like independent. Is basically subjective to everyone. But on an objective fact of like, is rape wrong? That is a statement of reality that is independent of our own feelings lah, in our own psychological state. And I'm not saying that to be a good person you need to believe in God. That's not what I'm saying. There are many good people out there, both of you guys, for example, that probably don't believe in God, yet have lived moral lives and will live moral lives and know what is the morally right thing to do and morally wrong thing to do. 100%. And you guys probably may even put many Christians to shame at the way that you guys live your life lah, right? Because there are many Christians out there who believe in God but unfortunately aren't living the life that they are supposed to lah, right? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that to have such objective right and wrong things, right, there must be a God. For if not, everything is subjective lah. Yeah.
That's an interesting viewpoint.
Yeah, I actually wrote a paper on that before.
Damn, really?
Wow.
Yeah, back then when I was still Christian, I did write a paper like, how do we know what's perfect if we haven't seen it? So that was like kind of my argument, like saying like, oh, the reason why we know something is perfect is because there is like something greater than that. My opinions have changed since then, but I kind of get like where you're coming from because I do think that for us to innately know like what's right or wrong. Okay, but I do feel like some people they grew up very differently and their idea of what is right or wrong is very it depends on like how they were brought up. Like for example, like okay, I'm not saying that like I object polygamy or anything, but like some people grew up with the idea that polygamy is good and some people grew up with the idea that polygamy is like morally wrong. So I feel like there are things like that where people it's more to their own cultures and upbringings. But I feel like in terms of like how we know what is innately right or wrong is feelings of pain and joy. I feel like that is an indicator, and also empathy. That's what teaches us to know what is right or wrong. Because I feel like people are very much more enlightened when they start having empathy.
Yes,
like
correct.
Again, the example, do you want to be killed? No. Like, so don't kill people. So I feel like that's how we start having laws and structures. But also that there could be the other argument because like generally I think like spiritually, like, you know, when people believe in karma, I do think that like karma exists or like something that bounces back your energy to you. I think that also helps people realize that, oh, there is actually like such thing, like something spiritually governing us to mirror you like what is right or wrong, like depending on how something makes you feel. So I feel like there's a lot of arguments for these things, but like currently where I stand is that I believe that how we eventually get to know right or wrong is when we start having empathy and we deepen our empathy towards other people and ourselves. Yeah.
But in general, I feel like right and wrong is extremely subjective. So I just feel like how do you put this like what, to put it simply, what I believe is right, you may believe is wrong. What you believe is wrong, I may believe is right. You know, that kind of thing. So in general, how I feel about right and wrong is that when you go through a journey and you make a decision, you're making that decision based on what you think is the best decision for you. But another party will say like, no, I think you should point to choice B, you know. But in the end, it's basically you were like on a different path than I was. So definitely I just feel like it's a lot more subjective in that sense. That's what I feel about right and wrong. But obviously the murdering one, the rape one, reiterating.
Do not murder.
No, but that's a real question though. Like on moral subjective grounds, right? Like we cannot point towards rape and murder as wrong. Because it will be wrong for us in our culture, 21st century, educated people know what's hurtful and what's harmful, what's brings joy and what doesn't bring joy, but we cannot objectively point towards and say it's wrong if there is no, I'm talking about existence, I'm not talking about belief.
Okay.
You know, I'm talking about if there is no objectively a God that is up there, that is, you know, fully good, fully great, everything that is good aligns with his will and all that. If there is no God that exists out there, right, nothing, then we can point towards rape, all of us obviously can point towards it, it's wrong. But that's our subjective opinion. If there was another room doing a podcast, a rapist podcast, and all of them were like, rape is right, how can we point towards them and say that it's wrong? You know, it's like we point them, they point us, then we're just arguing. So for me, I can say that objectively it is wrong, and I can believe it psychologically because there is a God out there that exists. So actually for me, objectively, for there to be a God, for there to be objective right, wrongs, there must be a God, in my opinion.
Okay, I have something to say.
I also have something to say, but
I
you can
say
go
first.
first.
I say first.
No, I'm sorry if we're going sidetracked.
No. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
No, the
Because I
thing
learned
is
this
that
philosophically, so I was just trying to.
the thing is that what I
understand.
believe is that it depends, right? When you are making that decision and when you have that viewpoint, is it for selfish reasons or not? Is it for selfish reasons or not? That's it. You know, obviously, okay, let's say there's a podcast with a room full of rapists and they're like, rape is right. Obviously, they're saying it for selfish reasons, you know? Like, it's whether or not you are doing it for your own personal benefit. Like, let's say, for example, let's say I cheat someone for money. I say it's right. It's because it benefits me. I'm being selfish about it. But when there is the opportunity to cheat someone of money there and I say, no, that is wrong, it's because I'm not being selfish. You know, I just feel like the line that's drawn there is whether it's you're being selfish or not. Whether you're only looking out for yourself or whether you care about people in general. That's how I view it lah. Okay, your turn.
My turn is that is exactly how Jesus came into the picture.
Huh?
If
Why?
you realize that. Because right, at the end of the day, when everyone's opinion is subjective, the only thing that determines who is the winner is politics and power and money. Whoever has more money, whoever has like more political stance and everything, that's how you determine like. So don't you feel like it makes so much sense that Jesus came into the picture because Jesus is fighting for people who cannot fight for.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why you have like that's how religion, for
Okay.
me, in my opinion, that's how
Okay.
religion comes into play. Because because like it's quite objective that Jesus is fighting for people who are powerless and people who are like marginalized, people who are like very, basically like the underdogs of the society, and also people
Thank
who
you.
are always wronged by people in
Society.
power, you know. So like it, in that sense, it makes sense that you have a deity that intervenes in all these things.
Because
Yeah.
I guess the main Christian belief is that we have a God and that Jesus is the triune God. He's one of the second person. So he's God also, fully man, fully God. But and he is the final judge that is to come. You've read Revelation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, freaking
You know
right,
what
bro.
will
I
happen.
know what's
everything
up.
will-
Yeah.
yeah, you know what's up, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I believe that there will be a final judge that will judge all. But we, through, you mentioned like we have something in our own, like we can feel what is right and wrong, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
No, I think that's true also. I think from a Christian perspective, we can say that God also imprints the understanding of right and wrongness within our own hearts. And so, regardless of whether you've read 20 theological books on right and wrongness or not, I believe that anybody, whether you're educated or not, knows what right and wrong and can distinguish it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think I can really understand why people believe in Jesus because, like, generally, everyone is exploited in the world. The mass majority, the top 1% is like so rare, but they're like doing most of the exploiting, or like whoever is in position of power, they make up only like very, very minimal in society. So it brings like so much hope to know that there is someone out there who looks out for you, and there's someone out there who is on your side for like living a current life where you just don't have like the ability to move past social classes. You don't have the ability to like make it out of poverty, or like or just like live a life where you're not caged. So I think it makes a lot of sense, you know, and it's a comforting feeling lah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but end of the day, I feel for Jesus in particular, like I read this book by C.S. Lewis. Had you guys heard of that guy
Yes,
before? You read his book?
Didn't he
also?
like became a born again Christian?
Yeah, so he was an atheist and then he got not converted, but he became a Christian again after his influence of his friend J.R.R. Tolkien, the guy that wrote Lord of the Rings.
What? So Gerard? Oh wait,
Yeah.
but his
So
Lord of the Rings is very Jesus coded though.
yeah, it is. But actually, if you look at Narnia, actually it is also got
Yeah,
some
Narnia,
parts,
yeah,
like the
yeah,
lion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in one of his books, he said that basically, and I after I read that, I think it's true lah. Like honestly, either my Christian religion is completely false and like fake, or there's something behind it lah. And he talks about Jesus in this way. There's the trilemma. He's either a lunatic, liar, or Lord.
Damn.
Liar, lunatic, or Lord. What it means is that he's either a liar, meaning he knew that he was not God, but he's walking around doing all these kind of things and trying to claim that he was God. So obviously he's a liar lah, you know. he's either a lunatic, meaning he actually believed himself to be God, and clearly he's not, or he was who he said he was. There's only 3 categories that Jesus will fall under, and obviously your position on this 3 will find it lah. For other religious faiths, obviously they find Jesus to either be a liar, like you know which religion sort of get him executed, and then another religion who believes that he exists but didn't believe that he was crucified on the cross, right? So there are different positions on Jesus lah, but for me it's like it really comes down to him and how you judge him to be lah.
Yeah.
So
I totally get that lah, because I feel like, okay, currently I'm atheist / agnostic. I bounce between the two like every now and then, because for me, like for me, I just feel like if there is really a God out there, I do admit that like I am very finite in the way I think, and I can only make decisions what is best for me in how I'm presented it at the moment, and I can only do so much with like my own thinking, my own circumstances, my own money, and like everything. So I feel like whatever I'm doing, even if like I'm ultimately a sinner, I feel like if there is actually a love this great, I will be forgiven. So I have trust in that, like whether or not I believe in like whether I believe in Jesus dying on the cross for me, like I feel like the love needs to be that great for me to actually like believe, because otherwise I don't want to believe in it. So I feel like even if I don't believe in a God or anyone now, or I don't believe in any teachings, I feel like the love must meet that standard, like for me to be forgiven. Because at the end of the day, I really am finite. I really am limited. Like as a person, as a human being, we all are. Yeah. I just feel like we can only make the best of what we have in the moment. Like we can only do so much. At the end of the day, like, you know, sometimes when you watch like TV series or movies, right, you sort of have an empathy with the character, no matter how shitty things are. Like sometimes people have different opinions about it. Like they're like, oh, like fuck this person, fuck that. But like some people also, they're like, oh, they've been through so much, their villain origin story, like it came from somewhere. Like I feel like that's how a God would see me too, like and everyone else, because they know about the many things you had to go through in life to do what you did, or like become the person that you are. That I feel like as humans we have empathy. Wouldn't like a higher power have so much more empathy than we do? So I feel like if there is a higher power and they're reading into my story or anybody's story, they would understand everything. Like they would know why we did what we did, or like why we made the decisions we made. So I feel like I rest knowing that like if there is, then I trust that this high power understands me lah, and also everyone else and how they wanted to live their life. I just feel like as long as you keep choosing the best for yourself, then you can just be rest assured.
So do you all believe that like Jesus or God has unconditional love?
Unconditional love in the sense of like, I believe that he loves everyone, even the worst of worst sinners lah, right? You can point towards on Netflix Jeffrey Dahmer. There's that debate. He committed all those heinous crimes, right? In the end of the show, he, so to speak lah, got baptized. Apparently became a Christian, and after that he was killed by another Christian.
Damn. Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't watch the series on Netflix?
No, I didn't, because it was,
honestly,
I didn't want to support it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but that's the real story. What happened? He at the end of when he went to prison, he read the Bible. He suddenly became Christian, asked to be baptized. Another Christian in the prison was a black guy and felt extremely that God wanted him to kill Jeffrey Dahmer because of Jeffrey Dahmer's sins. So and then he killed Jeffrey Dahmer. So the debate that came about after that show was, for Christians lah, is Jeffrey Dahmer forgiven for what he did? For me, my position lah, my honest opinion is that I don't know, but God knows. If Jeffrey Dahmer was genuinely repenting for what he did and he knew what was wrong and he really asked for forgiveness, I believe that my God, who is so great and so loving, would even forgive him. You know, that's the belief that I have. I know it might seem from a logical human perspective, how a person like him who committed all these crimes, murdered, raped, like all these kind of things, you can forgive him? But that's the thing lah, it's not a human forgiving, it's God lah. Right? And for me, if there is a really that big of a loving God lah, he would lah.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing, like the reason why I started having my own beliefs is because I felt like forgiveness is something that I really cannot understand as a person, which is why I felt like I resonated so much with atheism, or like not knowing that there's a higher power, and like, okay, when we die, it's all darkness, like everyone dies the same way. Because I just feel like have you guys watched The Good Place?
Sure.
Yeah, The Good
I don't think
Place.
I did.
Yeah.
The Good Place is a really. I mean, like when I watched it,
Movie or series?
it's about the afterlife. Yeah.
Oh,
It's a
It's
series? Oh, it's a
It's a
series.
TV series, super addicting, like very nice. So I love The Good Place, but actually I already watched it when I was watching it. I was already in my atheist era, so it's like, but basically like in that show, not to spoil lah, but it's like kind of like everyone like how they end up in the good place or bad place. There's a whole long ass list of like the good and bad deeds they've done, and so you need to see like how much good points and bad points you get. So will the good points cancel out all the bad ones? Like does it earn you a spot in the good place? But if you have more bad points than the good points, then afterwards you will go into like the bad place technically. So but the thing is it's like so many small things you did, it's like things like okay,
every little thing.
every little thing.
It's
Let's
calculated.
say, I cussed someone out at the road, then bad point. But then, okay, I help my mom like do grocery shopping. That's a good point. Then I get like a good point. So there's so many things, and it just makes me think like, oh my god, like it's so much. Like there's so much to judge about us. Like isn't it so fucked up in a way? Like it's so tiring. But I feel like if everyone just like died the same way, it makes the most sense. Like spiritually to me, it makes the most sense that everyone died and it's just like nothing else from there. It is kind of like the ultimate forgiveness and the ultimate reward, nothingness, because that essentially is like peace, like end. So yeah, that's one thing. But also then again, I have to admit I have a biasness because I don't believe in, I'm scared of thinking about afterlife. So I'm scared of thinking of like reincarnation and all this, because reincarnation especially scares me the most, because I don't want to believe that like I went through so much shit in this life. Maybe I went through more shit in the past life, but you never know, right? Like, do I need to keep going through the same shit over and over again? Like, obviously I wouldn't remember, but it's just tiring to think about. So I feel like my answer to this is also very biased, because like I'm scared of that. Like I don't ever want that. So I don't know. But like then again, that has made me believe in what I believe, because I think about like all these things, like, who's to judge and like what is going to happen. There's so many possibilities that for me it only makes sense that everyone dies the same way. But then again, I also feel like I don't know anything. Nobody knows what happens until you die. So like I cannot say for sure like confirm. This is what I believe now, is because I'm affected by my fears, my own personal experience. Like so many things made me believe what I believe. But then it is true that at the end of the day, you just never know until you die. I can only say I want to believe in this, I want to believe in that, but like you don't know,
Yeah.
You just have to be a good person. That's all.
Just be a good person. Don't kill anyone. Don't kill.
That's it, dude. Like, just cannot say anything. Like, just be a good person
Yeah, just be a good person.
and hope for the best. Yeah.
But I find it somewhat meaningless, if when we die, it's lights out. And what I mean by that is that because if all ends the same, right? I think in Ecclesiastes there's one verse where it's like, from dust we came, to dust we will go. If it is true that at the end of the day, there's no God, we all die, then whether you live your life as Jeffrey Dahmer or Mother Teresa or Adolf Hitler, it doesn't really matter. In my view lah, like, because if it all ends the same, right?
Okay.
Everyone just dies at the end. So for me, it's a very nihilistic viewpoint if there is nothing after we die lah, right? And I think, but to speak on what you mentioned also, I think Christianity, I would say, is the only religion then that actually it's not about the points that we make, because there will never be enough points that we can make. There will always be deductions, minus points, worse than my 13 out of 32 attendance in, there will never be enough points. Christianity, I would say, is the only religion where it's not by what we do that it has earned our salvation, but it's by what God did for us lah. And our only thing that we can do is to, whether we say yes or not, to accept the grace that He's offered for us lah. Because sorry, yeah.
Yeah, no, I can say it later.
Oh yeah, I mean, because from my understanding for other religions, it's more about like, we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this, and then slowly we climb the ladder up to heaven lah. Which I understand, and I can see the discipline and the amount of discipline that they put in doing that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's admiring, man, really admiring. But for me, I don't think that anyone rationally can earn their way up to heaven if there is a heaven to be walked up to lah. Which is which is why I believe that if there is a heaven, then the Christian proposition that God Himself died for me, right? So that I don't need to do all that climbing. All I need to do is to accept Him. And then in virtue of accepting and believing Him, I then change my behaviors to follow Him.
Okay.
Right? It's not because I do it to get there, but it's because I accept it, that's why I change. Yeah, that's why I don't know lah. I feel quite meaningless if there's nothing lah. Where have they? We'll know when we die.
What were you
I
trying
see.
to say?
No, basically the whole thing about Jesus dying for you and so you don't have to climb the ladder, doesn't that, in a sense, remove all accountability from you as a human being to do good?
Wait, I
No.
remember the quote: minimum, what maximum?
Fuck minimum effort, maximum result. Yeah.
I personally don't think so. I think that so there are different positions on this, right? Different Christian positions. Some Christian positions is that, if God chose you, you're chosen, you will eventually believe and go up to heaven. And then there are other Christian positions where, no, it depends on your work. For me, we can earn our salvation, but we can also lose it. I can be like, hallelujah, Jesus, I love you, you're the best, I worship you, I'll follow you every day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm sinning every single day, right? All the way to my death, that's my behavior. Am I saved? I don't think so lah, right? Because for me, it's not what you profess you believe that is what you believe. It is your actions, right?
Yes.
Hypocrisy, right? Like, I say one thing, my behavior
Yes.
shows the opposite.
Correct.
So for me, it is, I believe that it's not that, he died for us, we don't need to do anything. I believe that if it is true that he died for us and that we believe that he did die for us, then our behaviors must totally change to be aligned to that lah.
Okay, let me see if there's another final
Do
question.
you all believe in sex before marriage?
That's so out of pocket, dude.
What? It's an interesting viewpoint.
Yeah.
Interesting discussion. Do you
There's
all
one more
believe
question, but yes, answer
Okay.
this question first.
I mean, straight answer is no lah.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think it's sinful lah, just as what the Bible says. It's unfortunate for me. It's unfortunate, but for me, that's the thing lah, right? What's sinful or what's not sinful is not based on what I like, because there's so many things I like that's sinful, man. I would love to eat non-stop and be a glutton from morning till night. I would love to laze around and not do shit and not need to work. I would love to just go out, satisfy all my gratification and desires as much as I want lah. But unfortunately, God says no.
So do you feel like your religion has made you, in a sense, has held you to your morals and your value system that has made you an accountable person in return?
You're asking like if that made me
Yeah, do you think your
better?
religion has made you?
I think ask my parent and ask my girlfriend whether that's that's what they feel about it. I hope so lah. Obviously, I hope so lah. I try my best to. Obviously, there are times where I fall and fail lah, unfortunately. I try to lah, but I fall and fail all the time.
I think every Christian, to a certain extent, it does hold them accountable because, like, again, you are the decider of whatever you do. So if a person makes a decision, obviously either they've thought through it or they've not. But if they have weighed out the pros and cons and all that kind of things to lead them to that decision or whether they do it or not. So I think to a certain extent, yes, obviously it does, and the values that I've been brought up with have definitely, like prevented me from doing certain things or made me think twice about certain decisions that I've made. Yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
think also, right, one more thing on that is that a lot of what I noticed lah from the atheistic movement is that they will point towards the things that religion has done wrong. Like, look at the Crusades, the amount of people that they killed in the name of religion. But the thing is, it's very easy to point towards something that has happened, but it's very hard to point towards something that has not happened because of religion.
That's
But,
so true.
you know what I mean?
That's
Like,
true.
if-
That's true.
I really wanted to give a nice slap to the person that was being rude to me, right? But because I was like, you know what? Jesus said, turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
And then because of that, I didn't slap the person. But what's the proof that I didn't slap the person?
Correct.
You
That's
get me?
actually true.
It's very hard to point towards
Yes.
a good thing, So, yeah.
Agreed.
I feel like what has made me accountable after I didn't have religion anymore to hold me accountable was actually my relationships with people. My relationships with my parents, my relationships with my friends, my relationships with partners, all these things. Like, I think because your relationships is how you get to see yourself best. Like, how do I treat people like that? Because how you treat people also reflects on what you value. Like your empathy, your humanity, and all these things. And I felt like that has been, I don't know, like, because I always thought that like I needed religion to be a pillar of what is it? Like a pillar of accountability to myself, because there's like, but then I realized that actually like relationships like teach you a lot more than you can think, because like especially when you have long-term relationships, long-term friendships, long-term like obviously with your family is long-term lah, like you evolve and you see like how you view them and like how, what is it like how your actions affect them and all these things, just becoming more self-aware.
Yes.
Then I felt like that has instead became my pillar of accountability. I was like pretty scared in the beginning. I was like, oh, what if I have nothing to like look on to? Then it wasn't until I realized, actually, no, my relationships with people is what's teaching me to be a good person or not be a good person. I feel accountable to them. I feel accountable to people that I care about and I love. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a relationship lah. At the end of the day, because like, to be honest, most people know what good is, what's wrong and right, right? It's just, even though we know it, we still don't do it.
Yeah,
And it's because of the relationships that we have with people around us that help us to make that better decision lah.
Okay, for me, I agree with that, the relationships thing and my love for the people around me. That's what gives me, you know, the strength to do what I believe is the right thing. But another thing is also viewing everything from a sociological and objective perspective. Because when you talk about like, okay, your relationships being the thing that helps you do right and wrong, it's very like only within your circle. That's what I feel lah. But for me, when I look at things from an objective sociological perspective, even a person I don't give a fuck about, even a person who has wronged the living shit out of me, I don't give a fuck about them. I don't care if they die. But because I see things objectively from a bigger picture and sociologically, I get myself to understand where they are coming from. I remove myself from the situation, see where they're coming from, and then, you know, be sympathetic, you know, or be empathetic towards it. And I just say like, you know, they're going through this and that, even though it has wronged me so much, but it doesn't help them for me to be vengeful, to be spiteful. So it's not just, for me lah, it's not just about like relationships with people, it's being, you know, sociological about it lah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to Christianize everything lah,
I get it,
but really the whole Jesus, like he takes it to one level that it's just always too far. You know, people say love thy neighbor, and he says, who cannot love your neighbor? Who cannot invite your own friend to come makan with you? You do that with strangers. You do that with your enemies. Love your enemies. He always takes things one step further to be like, wow, damn,
That's
how do
actually,
I do that?
I respect that though. I respect that.
Right.
Because what he says is right. It's like, it's so easy for the people that, you know, you care about to be good to them. Anybody can do that. But can you be good to the person who has wronged you?
Yeah, I think that is a good standard of like, you know, for me, I think I talked to you about this before. Like, you know how I said that, like, sometimes, like, you know, when you find partners or people, they can be good to you, but they're like shit to other people. But like that actually says a lot about who they are as people.
They're a real person inside.
Because they are good to you because it's transactional with you in a way. But if you find someone who's actually good to people in general, like they hold themselves to standards, like that is actually a good person. I mean, of course, again, you know, being good and a good person is subjective, but like when you can tell, like, you know, okay, this person, they treat people differently, they treat people accordingly, they're not really somebody with values and like strict standards to themselves. They are like, depending on what you give in return, then they treat you accordingly. So I think Jesus is dope. Like I feel like he's a really good example. Sorry, how long has it been?
It's 2 hours, but it's okay.
Oh damn, is this the longest?
The longest
Doesn't feel like 2 hours. Oh my god.
No lah, as I was saying that, like, I feel like that's one thing that I admire about Jesus, because I feel like Jesus sets that precedent and Jesus does set that standard. Like, you need to be good. It's not just like being good to your convenience, being good to your advantage.
Everyone.
It's actually being good to everyone.
Yes.
And that's what actually everybody should be.
I agree.
And that's what he did also, like always, like what's it called, telling off people that wasn't doing that. Especially I guess for Jesus' context was the Pharisees lah, because all of them were like, you know, we are keeping our rules, we are doing the Sabbath, we are, you know, and then he was just like eating with the sinners, the tax collectors, and then the Pharisees were like questioning him, and it was just like, why? All of us are sinners, what? So I think that's true lah. Yeah.
I love Jesus, but I'm not a Christian.
Jesus is dope. Yeah. Okay, last question. What do you think should change in the community to make queer people feel more safe to be part of the religion? As we have mentioned, Zoe and I left the religion because we felt unsafe and we felt very isolated, stigmatized, side-eyed, and like all these things. We just didn't feel like the community wanted to keep us or saw us as part of people who could be in the community. You know, they saw us as like, oh, outliers and everything. When I could say a ton of shit I know about them too. But like,
Say it.
I'm not petty like that.
I mean, so actually in that same sermon I mentioned earlier, someone asked that question as well. How can we create a safe space for people that are of the 2S LGBTQIA plus community lah? And I think the question we must ask ourselves first, is it physical safety or is it like social environment and all that? I mean, like socially acceptable. I think physical safety wise, I don't think there will be, I mean, I'm not saying lah, but the churches that I know of, I don't think any of them will actually throw a stone at you for being a homosexual, right? I think I can say this with confidence lah, that they won't be doing that. So physical safety wise, I think like most churches has got it down already. The other part we need to ask is about the more social aspect, right? The way they look down on you, the way they will treat you like shit, the way they will, like, you know, all the things that both of you have experienced, unfortunately, from lah. And that's why the thing, right? I feel like my church that I go to, they sort of like have a more respectable position. They say, look, accepting people is very different from endorsing, right? I can accept you as part of my community in church, right? You're allowed to come, you're allowed to worship with us, we're allowed to go for cell group, all this kind of stuff lah. But that doesn't mean I need to endorse your values. And the guy that gave the sermon that day, he gave an example lah. Let's say I accept my younger brother who is a lazy piece of shit. He doesn't study, he has his exam coming, he doesn't want to do shit. You know, I can accept him. I mean, I don't accept his behavior, I don't endorse his behavior, right? But I still love him at the end of the day, right? So I think, I know you guys don't like the statement like love the sinner.
Love the sinner, hate the sin.
Hate the sin, but in a way, I see it that I get what it means lah, right? That we can still accept you guys, but doesn't mean we have to endorse and say that your values are right, right? I don't think that, because I cannot force another religion as well to accept my values. I can't look at another religion like the Buddhists and say, oh, you're not worshipping my religion, so therefore, like, you know, there's a reason why they're in a different bracket of category of religion lah, right? So I think it's definitely from a social aspect. Christians need to do a couple things. One is look at Matthew 7, you know, like, you know, the verse about looking, why do you judge people? In the end, you will also be judged, right? For those who judge, you will be judged too. Why do you bother to look at the speck in your brother's eye when you have a log in your own, right? First clear up your own eye and then your brother's, and then you can look at your friend's eye. I think that's one verse you gotta 100% live it out. And I think like the part that like at the end of the day, everyone will be judged is so true. I think there's another verse that was just so like what he said, the gates to hell is wide, but the gate to heaven is narrow. Many will call me Lord, Lord, for I knew you, but I will say I did not know you. I think that is honestly true lah. I feel I've had a Christian friend told me, I honestly think that many Christians won't go to heaven, right? And when I hear that, I feel like if you look at that verse, kind of makes sense lah.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we have to be respectful to people that are to the LGBTQ community. But it doesn't mean we have to endorse it lah. There are other churches like the one that you mentioned in US that have gone to the point of endorsement and also allowing them to serve in positions of leadership throughout the church, and I think that's fine. Like, but that's a different church theology that I personally, if you ask me, I don't personally agree with lah. Because for me, if the church can just keep changing their theology, allowing things as time goes on progress, right? I feel where does I think that's my phone. I feel like to what degree will we stop? One day we might allow what's it called, LGBTQ, and the next day are we going to allow, I'm not saying it's the same thing, please don't get me wrong, but let's say someone who's 28 and like someone who's 17 or is dating someone that's 17, should we endorse that? One day later in the future, if it's more acceptable. I'm not saying it's the same thing, please don't get me wrong, I'm just saying that morality cannot progress, it is discovered. The right and wrongness, rape was wrong 2,000 years ago, is wrong now, it will be wrong in the future. It's not that rape is only wrong now because we understand it now. Rape was always wrong. So for me, there are certain things that are right and wrong, whether we like it or not, unfortunately lah, right? That God has determined it to be such that is universal from beginning of time to the end of times lah. So that's my position lah. And for me, like I said, Christians just learn to really live out the love that Jesus has for us.
Yeah. I think the thing he said about judgment is really true, because I think a lot of Christians are kind of entitled to think that because they know the truth, that they have the right to then tell people you're doing this wrong or you're doing this right, just because they believe so. And not saying that, Christianity is like the only right religion or, the only way. But if somebody doesn't believe that, you can't force them to. So some Christians, I feel like they think that it's their duty after knowing this truth to be like, no, that's wrong, or no, that's right, and then condemn people. And also, unfortunately, they take another step with going to tell people that, oh, you're going to hell for this, or, if you don't do this or you don't do that, then you're, a sinner or whatever. But in actual fact, we are all sinners, right? And we are all going to be judged at the end of the day. So I think one thing that, Christians could change is the way that they, share things, instead of being like, because when you want to share about Christianity, or if you want to share about something like you mentioned just now, it's something like marketing, right? If you want to promote something, would you promote more of the good things or more of the bad things? You know what I mean? If you only promote the bad things, or, things that are not, only the bad things, then, it may not be so appealing to other people. So when you go around telling people, oh, this is sin, and you're going to hell, how does that benefit the other person? When to the Christian, it's like you're telling them, they are telling you, oh, I'm trying to tell you what this is about, what the truth is. The truth is that if you sin, you'll go to hell. So that's what Christianity is about. But actually, that's not what Christianity is about. And I think, that kind of, the way that they portray Christianity is really, I guess their intentions are good. What they want to say is good, but the way that they are delivering the message is just way out lah, and it has then affected other Christians who are actually trying to spread the love and spread goodness and everything. And that's what it is though. And it's so difficult to undo that, now that all this kind of stereotype has been thrown around. And people who are Christians are now not Christians anymore because of the community, and it's not about the religion, right? So I really just think it's about the delivery lah, and when a lot of people also tell me like, oh, how do you share Christianity to your friends who are Christians or non-Christians? Or like last time in school we used to have all these youth camps and stuff. And then they will say oh, invite all your friends, from school. And we invite them, and then let's say some of them accept Christ during the youth camp. And then some church people will be like, oh, how come your friend doesn't come to church anymore? They came for the youth camp, but how come they don't come to Sunday service? And to me, it's like, why are you asking me? I'm not in charge of this person, whether they want to believe or not. Yes, I can guide them, I can help them. If they have any questions, I can, be encouraging to them. But it's not up to me whether they continue to come to church, whether they continue to be a Christian or not, right? The only way that I can sort of promote that or market that is to be kind to them, to be a friend when they need one, but at the same time, not compromising my own values, and it's okay to have different values from other people, but because what you're promoting is not a product or a religion, or a subscription, join, it's not like that. It's more of a lifestyle, how you live your life, doing good deeds or whatever. So when they ask me questions like that, oh, how come you don't follow up on your friend, that who doesn't come to church anymore? It's not my, what's the word?
Obligation?
Yeah, I'm not obligated to, they are still my friend. I still talk to them. I still, not that I promote Christianity or being a Christian, but I'm still friends with them. But it's not my fault if they don't come to church after that. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of Christians, through my experience, that it comes across that way. I understand what they mean, oh, you should follow on your friends who are new Christians and stuff. But eventually, if that friend doesn't become a Christian anymore, or they don't decide to become a Christian, it's not my fault, but it's being thrown in my face as if it's my fault, that this person has backslided or this person has not become a Christian. So I also think that that's something that has to change lah, because if not, then how are you going to reach out to other people? You say that you want to spread goodness everywhere. How are you going to do that if you're only focusing on yourself? There's also this one thing that Christians, or rather I guess people who are like our parents' age, like 50, 60 years old, they always like to say like, oh, don't mix with lukewarm people. You know, in the Bible it says don't associate yourself with lukewarm people. Like I
What's
have a
lukewarm
friend.
people?
Sorry?
What's lukewarm people?
Lukewarm people, like you are Christian but you don't really, you're not like 100%, you know, you're
Like not
Not
Christian by
serious,
name only.
serious.
that kind
Yeah.
of thing
Is it
lah.
That's
the
what-
cradle thing?
So, I guess somewhat same term lah. Yeah.
Okay, you all
I guess.
continue. I go pee first. A bit
Oh. Okay.
I've been holding it in my bladder's be like wanting to burst, man.
So like they always say like, don't mix yourself with lukewarm people, you know, don't be influenced by that. Oh, your friend is like gay or lesbian, like don't mix with them. Which is so stupid because then what? If let's say you're the only person who's a Christian, everybody else is not, then what? You're the only Christian in the world?
You know?
I have a friend who is now dating a non-Christian and her parents are like gone lah. They're like, no. They still like, they're nice to him and stuff, but ultimately they're like, oh, when are you going to find another boyfriend or something like that, you know? They don't really take it seriously, which is really sad because I don't think that's what it means to not associate yourself with lukewarm people. I think what it means is that you should not be influenced by
By
other
them.
people, right? You have your own beliefs, your Christian beliefs, you should hold on to it. Then you should influence other people. Not convert them, but you should influence them, right? What is good and what is whatever. If not, then how do you reach out to other people? You know? Which is the whole point of Christianity. That's what they teach you, right? To spread the gospel or whatever.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I think definitely like what you say, the best way to promote Christianity is to live it out.
Correct,
To
exactly.
live it out. Live
By
it out through your own
example.
personal life. Then people will see it.
Exactly, yeah.
Like I took this church course, right? And then there's a part about evangelization, how to evangelize. Then this leader of the church, the president, he basically recounted a story of how he was teaching another person how to evangelize. And then they were doing like literally walking around campus trying to evangelize, like just like those kind of selling lah. And then after that, one of his students went out there to try to, so to speak, evangelize to another person. And after that, they got into a heated argument, and that guy was just basically, the Christian was basically like, screw it, you're going to hell.
Drop the bomb.
Yeah, then after that guy came back to the leader. The leader was sawing everything from afar lah. Then the leader just looked at him and was like, look, he might be going to hell, but you are the one that sent him there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
Damn, actually,
I mean, it's
damn.
true, right? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, it's
Yeah.
many Christians are the ones that are doing that lah.
Exactly. And like what you said, like the things that Christians do or the things that you don't do are the things that people don't talk about. Like, you know, you said you didn't slap someone and you know that's not being talked about, but if you did slap someone, then that's what people talk about. It's like the Christians who are out there, you know, especially like online, all the comments and stuff that they throw at people, you know, like somebody doing something in a video and then they put all these like comments like you're going to hell and stuff. It's these things that are being portrayed as what a Christian is rather than the good things that happen, even though there can be so many good things that happen. You know, like all those like prayer rallies and stuff. I can't remember this one guy who's going around, I can't really remember his name, but he does like those healing crusades. He goes around like just having seminars or like sermons, and then people come out on stage and they're literally healed live, you know, like from they're not able to walk, they come up on like crutches and stuff, and he just like does a prayer and then immediately they're able to walk, you know. And all these kind of stuff can be like, you know, on national TV or whatever, but it's not being talked about. Whereas people who just put like one comment like, you know, oh, you're going to hell, and it's being like blown up, you know, and people think that, oh, that's what Christians are. It's always the Christians that, you know, say the worst things. But actually it's not, you know, and it's just really sad lah that has become, you know, what Christians are.
Yeah, I think especially like on the internet and everything, people tend to look at you very like single, like that's why Zoe and I get cancelled too. Because people just look at us from TikTok and they're like, I don't want to watch the whole video to know the context.
Yeah.
Y'all said this, y'all are fucked. Like,
Right.
you know, I'm cancelling you. So it's like, they don't really, obviously it's very normal, like when you see people on the internet, you don't look at them holistically or it's like a people phenomenon.
Yeah.
You know, people don't understand you like completely, which is how sometimes like, let's say for example, I can be like, you like that person or Christian, I don't want to be friends with them later, they are this and that. It's my own bias. But like we can actually be friends with people like that. We can be friends with people who are different from us and all that. And the same way people look at me, ew, lesbian, predatory, whatever, even though definitely not hitting on you guys. But like they don't know me as a person. They don't know me holistically. So I feel like that's just something that, unfortunately society is, and people just look at you very black and white. So they don't really look at you as a whole person. It's again like the whole thing where I feel like if someone watches me like a TV show and they knew my whole story, I believe that they would understand me. The same way if I watch someone's whole TV series about their life, I would understand them.
True.
Yeah.
My previous boss was my manager. She was a Christian and she said that like whenever people ask me about my faith, I always say first, don't judge my faith for me, judge my faith for what it is, which is true lah. I mean, because if you judge it based on us, then screwed lah.
Yeah, because how people interpret the religion is also very different, and how people choose to live it out is very different too. I do believe that they are genuinely very good Christian people, and like they really do try their best to embody like what the religion teaches, and they try to always do good by people and contributing, and really like not engage in all these things that give Christians a bad name. But like unfortunately also there are a lot, and the same thing like being gay as well, there are a lot of shitty people, like predatory queer people in the church, people look at them that way, like they're harassers, this and that, pedophilia, blah blah blah. But there are also people like queer who don't do that, and so it's just really like that. I feel
It is what it is.
It
TLDR, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I also feel like in general, right? The thing is that like when people the reason why people are so strong in like, let's say, hating on Christians or hating on gay people, like these two opposite sides of the spectrum, is just that because people cannot accept that other people have different value systems. Like for example, today you said a few things that I probably disagree with or definitely disagree with, but I don't blame you for it because I understand that you as a Christian, your identity is that you truly believe in something, and that is why you have, like, you say what you say. And I know when gay people watch this, they're going to be like, this fucker. Like, I know they're going to say that, but the thing is that in general, just people cannot accept the fact that somebody has a different value system and that the world is just like that. You cannot like talk to someone just for the sake of wanting to change their mind. You know, even though like I say things you disagree with, you say things I disagree
We can
with.
agree to disagree. That's the whole point. Yeah.
And I understand like where you are coming from, even though I don't agree with it, but I understand it. So in general, I just feel like all these people are so strong with like their hatred towards another community or other people is because they just cannot accept that like somebody doesn't believe in the same things that they do. And it's so narrow-minded.
Yeah, and I know obviously like when people hear these things, they're like, see, but we have reasons to hate them because like they have positions of power. But for Malaysia, obviously not, because Christians do not have like political power here, but then Christians generally have political power like in a lot of other countries, and they're like, oh, but they can vote us out, they can like do this, they can do that. And that's exactly why solution, make it a secular state. Okay? Y'all, like, you know, at the end of the day, like you shouldn't mix like religion and politics lah, but also like people still do have their beliefs, and it is what it is. I have my beliefs. Like my experiences made me this person today, but also your experiences made you these people today, and it's not wrong. It's just how things are. Yeah.
That's why I say good and bad is very subjective.
It's very subjective. Okay, now we've reached like the final part of our podcast where we're going to do something fucking gay, which is like I am going to. Okay, not like that. Okay, so if you guys because like it sounded wrong when I like think about it.
Pause 1%. Let me just change the battery.
Oh my god.
Can I go to the quick?
No,
for what?
Because Anjuli was saying that you know a lot.
Yeah, I was asking Zoe like, how religious is Faye's friend like? Because I'm not super religious, but you actually know so much.
No, because I like to watch a lot of debates. So I watch a lot of, like, I whatever you can insult me on Christianity, I've heard it before already, and worse. I heard it and worse. I'm not saying please don't. I don't need any more lah. Okay, I don't need any more lah. But
okay, so we're gonna do something fucking gay right now. Okay, so for context, gays love astrology. We talk about astrology all the time. On Bumble, the first thing we like, hi, what's your big three? That's why like I asked you for your birth time, all that.
Wait, I also need to calculate your birth chart.
Okay.
Yeah, you can kena cursed
Curse, whatever,
if somebody
right?
has your birth time actually.
You know, when I was like trying to find that out from my mom, she also didn't want to give it to me because she was like, who asked you that? And I'm like, I asked myself that. And then in the end, I just go and find my birth certificate and I found out my birth time. Your birthday is
She's supposed to guess, isn't she?
no,
Holy
no.
shit.
She
Holy
she-
shit.
Oh yeah, you're right.
She's
Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
my
actually,
god!
can you put in your-
Anjuli.
I'm scared.
can you actually put in your own like?
Oh my fucking
Yeah,
god!
right?
Okay. This chart is
crazy?
crazy. I have never seen a chart before. This is
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
I think just put it this time.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Birth city, I put Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah.
You born in KL?
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Okay.
Lion.
Okay.
Don't do me first.
Oh, okay. So I gotta guess Adam first.
Okay, I have to guess. Wait,
So,
I have to see.
okay, so she guessed. Okay.
Oh,
I have to guess you.
Oh my god. Okay,
Ah.
it makes sense though.
Okay.
Like I see it.
That's what they all say when they say. So just to say it, I don't believe it, but I don't believe it. But if she guesses me,
Okay.
I might reconsider.
Okay. Okay, you.
I'm gonna try guessing again.
Okay.
How would she guess? By what? Just
Your
look at me.
vibes.
My vibes that I got. Okay, my vibes.
I feel like you have some Libra placements.
He's a Libra sun.
He's got Libra.
See, I told you were gonna. Like,
I'm done.
I was telling Zoe.
Did you tell her?
No, I didn't tell her
No,
anything.
she didn't tell me anything.
I just say just guess, but I feel like it would be very obvious.
Yeah, it's fucking obvious that you're a Libra.
Okay, why?
I was like,
Wait. I want.
Okay, why? Because Libras in general, they're about balance. They're about balance. So in general, if you talk to Libras, they are very to a certain extent agreeable with the things that you say. Like they will see your point of view, but they also have their own point of view. They know how to weigh those things out. So when you were talking the whole time, I could feel the Libra.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what the?
vibes, dude.
It's
I gotta get research on this.
No, Adam, you are such a Libra. Like when I first met you, I'm like, Adam's a Libra, like for sure.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Such a
Before you heard
Libra
my
vibe.
birthday.
Before I knew, then when you told me, I was like, I already knew it. Like I've been new.
What the heck? How is this?
You want to guess what Adam's?
Wait,
what?
but before that, then I also heard from your previous podcast, right? That like Libras are nice on the outside, but they got shit in the inside. I'm thinking, damn, what shit do I have inside? Man?
Oh my
Can you expand on that shit? What kind of shit should I look out for?
No, it's not anything specific. But
Yeah.
generally, this is a very general point of view. It may differ from your personality and your other characteristics in your entire natal chart. But in general, what I find from Libra suns is that because they're such people pleasers, right? I mentioned before, they're people pleasers. They're so agreeable to everything that you say, and they do things to make other people happy. So when they keep doing this thing and doing this thing and doing this thing, they neglect their own, what do you call it? They neglect certain things about themselves, and then in the end, I just feel like they have a lot of like internal thing that's just like stirring in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I like personality a lot. I like behavior. That's why my work is in that field.
Yes.
So I actually study personality a lot. I know about Big 5, 16 and everything. And when I did my test on the Big 5, I'm extremely disagreeable, you know. Like extremely, if you they say lah in that statistics, like if there was 100 people in the room, I would be the most disagreeable out of like 98 people. And actually when I reflect on my life, yeah, I can see that lah. Like for me, I am generally a nice person, but if I disagree with you, I don't care lah. I would disagree and hold my ground. Obviously, I'll try my best to do it respectfully lah, and I think that's the way it should be lah.
Yeah.
But I'll hold my ground lah if I disagree with you and if I have my reasons for doing so. And that unfortunately has caused it in the detriment of my own workplace. You know some stories there.
Okay, yes.
And also even in my own personal life as well lah. Yeah.
But
So
I do
that's
in
why-
general feel that you are quite an agreeable person, to be very honest with
it?
you. Yeah,
Interesting.
because I mean, typically when you talk to other Christians, they're just gonna shut you down. That's it.
Yeah.
But I feel like you are open.
Yeah, you are open
You're
to.
open.
You should talk to my brother. Oh my god. My
Why?
brother, luckily he and I share the same opinions, but back then when he has his own, and my brother's a Libra also. He's like not a Libra at all. I think because he has a Taurus moon.
Oh, okay.
That's probably like why. My brother is so hard to talk to him because one thing is that he interrupts you when you talk. I hate it when people interrupt me when I talk. So it's like, but you guys are not like that, so that's great. I mean that's the bare minimum. You shouldn't interrupt people when like they talk. But
Yeah.
So she guessed it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do my
Do you want to guess what's his moon and rising?
Shit.
That one I have no clue.
That
I
is
don't
so-
understand what's
What
that.
is
Okay,
that?
we will
Yeah.
explain more to you
Okay,
later.
okay.
But that
Moon
is so shocking.
Shit,
But
ah.
I kind of see it.
Shocking,
It's shocking, but I kind of see it.
Shocking, Okay, I would expect a little bit of stubbornness.
Okay, like
A
what
little bit,
signs would you throw out for like the moon and rising?
Fuck, I don't know. Feels like you have a little bit of earth also. It's either earth or fire.
I mean, yeah.
Wait, no. It doesn't feel like he has water placements.
Okay, like what would you?
Okay, no.
Pokemon thing.
You know the thing is, shit, man. Wow, fuck. Wow, I don't feel like I've talked to him enough to know his moon.
Yeah, because you didn't talk about like personal thing. Moon is okay. So your sun is how you are generally, like fundamentally as a person.
Okay.
Your moon is like how you are
Emotions.
emotionally, who you are on the inside. So like how like emotionally, like you know how you feel, like what you tend to feel. Ascendant, which is your rising, means the image you portray yourself to other people. How you ascendant and it's called ascendant or it's called rising. So it's like how you show yourself to the world. So it can be very different from who you are generally. Like for example, for me, I'm a Aries sun. My rising is ascendant. Is very different. It's my rising is ascendant. Sorry, my ascendant is Cancer. So to the world, I portray myself as a very like I'm baby. You know, I'm emotional. You know, but I do be a certain way because I'm an Aries. So generally, like Aries is like you're impulsive. You sometimes yell. Sometimes yell. You sometimes yell. You are like. Why don't you describe what an Aries is?
Okay, an Aries, I would say, is that sometimes they're a little bit unpredictable with when they get mad, I would say. Yeah. And when they get mad, they also really get mad. And they're kind of mad all the time.
Yeah.
So...
Do you hold a grudge? Like,
yes, because my moon is Scorpio. So how you are in Scorpio is known as like the sign of vengeance, resentment, and I'm like all those things.
that's my sibling. What the heck?
Wait, that's your sibling? Oh my god, do you think it's real? It's facts, right?
What is this shit?
No, it has like some sort of facts to it one. Yeah, but generally like I'm a very like I mean I'm working on it, but like I do feel like easily resentful and I feel like all these things. But like for how I portray myself to people, I portray myself as something else. I think from the get-go people can't really like smell that from me. Cause like you know if I have like a review of myself, like a book review, I told you before, right? Like somebody at work, like she told me, she was like, oh my god, you give me the impression of like a nice next door Christian girl with a long-term boyfriend.
Oh, I think you said that.
Yeah, I told you about who that was, right? So like I feel like that's how I give off like my vibes. But I feel like people if they don't know me well, they don't know that I'm like resentful. Or like they wouldn't know that I have a temper, or they wouldn't know. Yeah. So that's kind of how rising works. Okay. You wanna
I cannot guess his rising, you know.
You want me to tell you?
Wait. No, I need to guess. I
That
want to say
behavior.
Aquarius rising, but I don't think it's an Aquarius rising.
Can I see you? Because I don't know
yes.
what it
Aquarius
is. How do I
rising
know?
is...
What
I feel like
Uh,
Aquarius
your
risings are a
rising
bit
is
more
like
soft-spoken than him.
Yes,
He
you're
is-
right.
Huh?
You know his chart will make sense to you once I tell you.
Which one?
I'm right that Aquarius rising is more soft-spoken. Is that what you
This
mean?
one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a bit more... He will be... don't want to say Capricorn because it's not cold.
Okay.
Capricorn rising is not cold.
He is a Capricorn rising.
Oh my god, I was guessing Capricorn. Oh my god, it's fucked
Say
up.
that? How?
I'm telling you, dude, this stuff. Okay.
Okay, what
What's
is
his
it?
moon?
I don't know.
This
his
one
chart.
is like a wild card.
What's
This is a
what's my
wild
moon?
card.
How you are emotionally.
Which one is that one?
Pisces.
No, he's Cancer.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you guys have the same moon. So emotionally, like you guys are similar.
What does that mean?
Okay, you can explain that more
Yeah,
later.
yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna guess Anjali's one.
Okay, you guess first.
Is it crazy? Like,
Scared.
okay, I want to say that
surprised.
you're okay. You kind of
pray
give
after
me.
this.
Are you a Virgo?
Zero Virgo placements.
Are you
Zero.
a Cancer?
Zero Cancer placements.
Oh my god, I'm like trash at this. Are you a Leo?
I don't think so.
She has a North Node in Leo.
I don't want.
Okay, but no lah. Okay. One last try. Think properly.
How am I getting everything wrong?
Think properly.
Are you a Scorpio?
Fuck lah, there's zero Scorpio placement. I tell you, think properly already.
Are you an Aries?
Oh my god!
No, I'm trying to think of something that's very out of pocket.
It's not that out of pocket.
It's not that out. Are you a Taurus?
No allow.
I literally am guessing everything already.
Yeah, you're guessing all 12 already. So do you want to know? Yes. Sagittarius.
You're a Sagittarius?
I get
Oh
this,
my god.
Sagittarius Sun, Sagittarius Rising. She has 5 Sagittarius placements.
So you're a
Which means
Sagittarius
what?
stellium. Oh, generally, like,
What does it mean?
oh my god, I'm like blown away.
5 Sagittarius placements.
Wait, I need to guess the moon.
Okay, guess the moon.
Are you a Capricorn moon?
The fuck no.
Are you an Aquarius moon?
No.
I love how she's asking me the question. I'm like, Zoe?
Are you a Cancer moon?
No, she's not.
What
Can I see? What is it?
What's your moon?
Gemini.
What? Wait,
Where?
your chart is like so unexpected.
Gemini moon.
Okay, maybe because I don't know you that well.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Okay, so
5
what does it mean?
Okay, explain in detail for her first, then come back to me. I want to understand what the heck is this moon rising your Sagittarius?
Okay, I have the explanation here. Gemini moons have changing, adaptable emotions. They are known to hop from idea to idea, constantly sharing and exchanging information with others. Most importantly, this sign gains emotional fulfillment when they feel intellectually stimulated. In order to stay excited, Gemini moons tend to socialize with others.
Is that you?
Kinda.
Kinda.
Yeah, because
Kinda.
you know, like when he was talking about all the history related stuff, I've actually been thinking of taking a course, Bible college, about like all the not the like ministry side of things, but more of the like history learning
Intellectual
about
stuff.
Yeah, the books of the Bible and all that kind of stuff.
Damn, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it now.
Okay, like a little bit. So what does being a Sagittarius mean?
There's always a Sagittarius, she can explain that very well.
We hate 9 to 5s. I don't know, but you have a full-time job lah.
Yeah,
so-
but I hate it.
yeah, you hate it, and then you keep saying you want to start painting and all of that, and start your own business, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for me, how I relate my Sagittariusness to my life is that like I get bored very easily. I just get bored very easily. I need to constantly find a new thing to just keep me interested. And
That's why you can't have a 9 to 5.
Like
Yeah.
your hobbies, is it? Like,
not to say hobbies, you know. It's just, let's say when I'm working, I also need to have growth. I need to find something that makes my brain like turn. you know?
challenge you lah.
Yeah. Something that's interesting lah. And then it's like I like to explore a lot of different things. That's what I think a Sagittarius is. You just want to explore, whether it's like with your brain, you want to explore like in terms of like philosophy or psychology or whatever it is, things that you want to learn, or if it's things you want to physically experience.
Yeah, I know like Sagittarius, one of the traits is that you guys are always like knowledge thirsty. Like that's a Sagittarius thing.
Yeah.
To always want to explore like knowledge.
Yes,
And
yes.
want to be like, because not every sign is like that. Some people they're like comfortable, like they're like, yeah, I'm chill.
Like
with,
Tauruses.
yeah, like Tauruses. Like so Sagittarius they tend to want to always like, they're kind of like explorers. They're like known as the explorer sign. Yeah. So
Wait, what month to what month is Sagittarius again? Like what month?
month?
It's like November to December. It's
Zion
like
is a
okay.
Sagittarius.
22 November, if
I
I'm
can't
not
believe his
mistaken.
name.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're always looking out for more. But like one of the notorious things they're known about is that they're non-committal.
Which is honestly bullshit.
Yeah, I think it's bullshit lah. I feel like Gemini, not your moon, right? But like generally like air signs, okay, not you two, but like Geminis in general are like, I feel like I'm more of that rather than Sagittarius.
Yeah.
But Sagittarius always somehow get that rep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yours
Okay,
are.
me. I want to
Yeah.
understand.
Okay, wait, hold on. I'm just saying that Sagittarius get that rep because they're a fire sign.
Ah,
Air
yeah.
signs are always people pleasers in general.
Right.
Air signs will always say things that will make you, feel good. But fire signs are always saying things as it is. That's why Sagittarius get more of that rep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You want to know your moon, right? Okay, so your
I want to know the definition of all that. I honestly don't understand.
Okay, the moon represents the emotional responses, unconscious predestination, and self-image. The moon represents the emotions and how a person expresses themselves when they are at home, at ease, and comfortable, just alone. So the moon is at home in the sign of Cancer, as the moon is the natural ruler of the sign. So the moon in Cancer have a large potential to get in touch with the feelings and moods of others. Often they are quite wrapped up within themselves. Their memories of the past are outstanding, especially for all things emotional. Moon in Cancer people are never detached. They cling to things, their home, and the people they care for. They seek security and familiarity in all that they do. They look for peace and quiet. With their great attachment attachments to all things that's safe, they are a little leery of change. These peace-loving souls dislike superficiality in all its forms. They are devoted and accommodating. The insecure ones accumulate things in an attempt to feel secure. Because of their strong attachment to the past, others may complain that Moon in Cancer tend to whip a dead horse. They may dwell on hurts too long after everyone else has moved on. When they feel like they have been taken for granted, which may be often, they don't always confront others directly. This is when they can use roundabout ways to get your attention. In fact, these natives can become quite manipulative when feeling insecure. They can also be enslaved to habit. Moon in Cancer people have a hard time compartmentalizing their life simply because their watery moon knows no boundaries. Sometimes as a result, they may act irrationally. One of the most delightful characteristics is their loony sense of humor. These people can be quite hilarious. Their moodiness can baffle others, but their unique outlook on life is something most people can appreciate. When treated with tenderness and understanding, Moon in Cancer natives return the favor with warmth and protection. Give them security and you'll take the crabbiness out of a crab. At least for a while. Because you know Cancer is like crab, right?
Oh, okay.
These
got it,
people
got it.
are wonderfully dependable overall.
I feel like I'm definitely an Aries.
Right.
Yeah.
For you, right, when I was looking at you trying to guess your rising, the reason why initially I wanted to say Capricorn was because I feel like you, to a certain extent, you speak very well. You kind of like know what you're saying. You've done your research, and
It's a Capricorn thing.
You have
Is it?
somewhat of strong stance, you know. So I believe that Capricorns in that sense are slightly a bit stubborn, and also you just portray that very Capricorn vibe lah. You know your shit. You've done your research. You say things with conviction. Yeah, that's what I believe. Then why I guess that you're a Pisces moon is because generally water signs are a bit more empathetic. Water signs are empathetic, but you're a Cancer moon. But yeah, I felt like you were empathetic lah, because which Christian will watch our coming out video and be like, yeah, I felt sad for you guys. Nobody's gonna fucking do that lah. so real. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You both have the same moon, by the way, if I haven't said it already.
So
Yeah.
the moon is the emotional
Yeah.
deep
Yeah.
side thing, right?
So
Is it the shadow? Like, you know, in psychological terms, it's like the anima, the animus, and then the shadow.
oh yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
a lot like it, right?
I
But
think
don't
so,
know.
yeah. I need to read more into that to confirm.
Cool.
Yeah. So do you guys relate to your signs?
I guess so, to like a certain extent. I don't know.
I don't know though. I don't really feel like you're like fully Sagittarius, to be honest.
I feel like you are like, I can kind of see like your moon and everything, because I feel like you are kind of detached. Not in a bad way. I feel like you know how to take yourself out of the equation and look at things like, how to say it? But I wouldn't say like you're not empathetic lah, but like I can see like the Gemini part of it, because Geminis, they tend to be detached. They tend to take themselves out of the equation.
Yeah.
And they look at things also like very, like, oh, I can see like all sides.
So, question: Why you guys mentioned it is a lesbian thing to be into this?
Oh, it's just a culture.
It's just a cultural
we
thing.
We
is
just
it?
love it. Like,
we all like just know it.
yeah. So like every
Is it the same for like non-lesbian, like gays as well, or
the gays, they just be like top or
The
bottom.
gay men,
they don't? No.
some of them do, but they don't fixate on it as much as lesbians do. Yeah, for some reason I don't know why lah.
I don't know why lesbians love astrology. I don't even know why. Like, it's just a thing. Like, why do we love nasi lemak? I also don't know. Like,
I think generally
Malaysians-
everywhere is like that, right? Like the Chinese have the tiger, whatever, battle tiger, all that.
Yeah.
And then I think in Korea it's like blood.
Blood.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
they
blood.
use blood.
Yeah,
If
blood,
like
blood. Yeah.
if they know your AB plus or whatever lah, then they will know that this is how you're like. So when they go dating and all that, they will ask.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I heard lah. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I
Damn
heard of
weird
that
one,
too.
man.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a thing.
Mm.
Yeah. Because I think like, okay, this is my assumption, my hypothesis, because like a lot of lesbians are not religious. So you look at something else to be religious about. Like something more spiritual.
Yeah.
Because it does have a spiritual aspect to
Yes,
it lah.
yes.
Like, depends on how much you believe in it.
Right,
So,
right.
but because it just kind of became a culture, like everyone got kicked out of church, like, okay, let's just like look to astrology.
It's a human thing, right? In the end, if
yeah.
there's no religion, they'll create one
Yeah, you
eventually.
need to cling on to something for
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
lah. I just feel like that's a thing.
Damn.
Yeah, that's why a lot of like lesbians also, we believe in to a certain extent, like, you know, all those like tarot card readings or
Ah.
crystals, there's like a sense of spirituality to it or manifestations.
Yeah. Lesbian culture is like full of that.
But
Like,
tarot card is completely different from whatever you guys.
yeah, it's completely different.
That one's a different one, lah.
Doesn't have anything to do with astrology. Yeah. Because astrology is still like back then it was like a field that has more to do with astronomy. So people actually like study the stars and what it affects all that. But tarot is more spiritual, I feel. It's more your own intuition. It's
Yeah.
nothing to do
Yes.
with the stars and all that.
See.
It's a person's like intuition.
I see.
Crystals, actually I don't know anything about crystals.
Crystals is just basically stones that hold energy,
Okay.
you know?
So like people keep them for like good energy, right?
Yeah. They work with them when they meditate and all of that, lor.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the vibe.
That's crazy. Wait, sorry, I want to ask you. So, cause I mean, I heard that you said that you're more atheistic and agnostic. Are you also somewhere in that area right now?
I don't believe in any specific religions, but I believe in a higher power. I don't believe like it's a being or whatever, but I believe that there is something up there. I don't believe that like there is some God that is like playing us like puppets. I don't believe that there is a God that is like kind of governing us. I just feel like there's a higher being, that is just a higher power up there. That's it.
Whether it's one or many, also it's not. The distinction is not clear, also, lah. Is it?
Not really. I don't. Okay, I believe in this whole. Okay, this theory lah. It may be right, it may be wrong, but basically, the whole you know how when you die you reincarnate. I believe in that.
I don't.
And then I believe in the whole thing whereby when you have cleared all of your karma, when you die, you become one light source. Everybody becomes one light source. Then everybody become one light source and then get bored, then want to cari pasal, then reincarnate again. That's what I believe. Yeah.
As another like human,
As
you
a
mean?
human or as an extraterrestrial creature. I believe in that lah. I just don't believe in like a specific God. I just believe that there's something up there.
Right. And this shortly was after you sort of.
After I renounced religion, then I think I got into the whole astrology and tarot and
Right.
the whole spirituality thing. Then I started to talk to a lot of other people who believe in different things like this, who don't have a specific religion but have some sense of like spirituality lah. So I started to talk to more of these people, and I felt like, oh, I actually really do believe this. Or I even talked to some Buddhists, and they explain like some of their the beliefs that they had in like the afterlife, the reincarnation and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, this makes sense, that makes sense. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But I
Okay.
couldn't really gauge from the questions and all that you're answering. Okay. Cool.
Okay, one last question, then we can wrap it up. I promise. I just wanted to ask a very popular like Christian question. Do you guys believe in aliens and do you believe in evolution? Because you guys like don't believe in like evolution, right? Like, isn't that a thing? And like aliens.
You wanna answer first?
I've actually thought about this question a lot.
Okay.
Because, like, who knows, honestly, if there really are. But I think straightforward my answer for aliens is no. But for evolution, I feel like sort of. Because, I don't know, I guess like animals and stuff, you have had to... I mean, you're not going to be the same after like, so many years. It's not going to be the same. There definitely will be like some changes and stuff. Like people like mixing breeds of like dogs and whatever. There's bound to be certain changes. And also, I think there's something that my dad used to tell me once. I mean, like, it was quite a while ago lah. So I don't exactly remember what he said, but basically he was saying something like in the olden times, like in the Bible times, there were angels who actually came down to earth and like procreated with humans. And that's how you get things like giants, people who are like 7 feet tall or whatever. He said something along the lines of this to me. So that made me believe, or that made me think like, so are like, all those like mythical creatures, did they actually exist once upon a time? And then maybe now, because like the world's evolving, becoming more advanced and whatever, that they don't exist, but aliens in space, I don't think I believe that they actually do exist, because I don't know, plain and simple, Earth is the only planet that has like water, air, a place where living things can actually grow and survive. So I don't think that anything beyond that can actually survive. So that's why I don't believe in aliens. But yeah, evolution to a certain point, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe I am agnostic about the question of aliens. I leave it up to maybe there is, maybe there isn't. We currently, based on our evidence, don't have any form of proof for aliens. But I do leave it up to evidence. I mean, the universe is so big. The popular scientific model now says that the universe is expanding even bigger, and like there's a billion galaxies and all that kind of stuff. So possibility of another planet with another like aliens out there, I think maybe there is, maybe there isn't. The question of whether then these aliens, if they are sentient, are they saved just like humans? That's another question lah.
Yeah.
So but the question on evolution, I think so. For me, right, actually, like when I did this philosophy course for fun lah, like it's by University of Edinburgh, it's on Coursera.
You do a lot of courses.
Yeah.
No, I do it for fun. Like I
That's
did,
a lot still.
no, I just do it for fun. So when I did that, no, that was last time lah, and they will basically talk about the main arguments for religion, against religion, from science, against science, that kind of thing. And so, like evolution is one of the things that tends to separate Christians or religious people against the more scientific atheistic type. For me, I personally don't see it as compatible. I genuinely think that the scientific evidence that we have today, right, is not at all going against the Bible, because I don't see the Bible as something that needs to be read completely literally. I do believe that some aspects of the Bible are read literally, and some aspects are read mystically, metaphorically. You know, because who are we to think that the writers of the Bible thousands of years ago were so stupid that they can't write something metaphorically or poetically? They only can write things literally, man. Like, come on lah,
Yeah.
right?
People are artistic back then, yeah.
Exactly, which is why I think that like to point to old people and be like, oh, everything must be written literally, I think that's completely false lah. So when it comes to the question of evolution, I honestly think the Bible is not a book that's meant to talk about things like that, right? But I think evolution kind of makes sense. I do believe that humans as species grew up from other species, and that we have our closest cousins, the chimpanzees, so they say 98% or whatever. There's even Christian philosophers that have written books about what you call the historical Adam, whether we can point towards a single common ancestor that is the progenitors of all the human race, right? Because we always say Adam and Eve is the first ones, and then after that all human race came about. So he was trying to look at it from a historical standpoint, right? Can we actually point towards, and he said there is a possibility. There's this thing called a Homo neanderthalis. Not Neanderthals. Homo bergensis or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was one species of thing that branched out from other apes that eventually you could say could most likely be the common ancestor between Homo sapiens and everything lah. So I think evolution is completely compatible. I don't think that is incompatible lah. Yeah, I just think that the distinction between humans and animals is in our capacity for rationality, reason, logic, and consciousness lah. Because scientifically also, science to this day can't really exactly explain what is consciousness. Can you see it? Can you touch it? Can you hold it? You can't, right? So for me, I believe there was a point in time where there was this species of humans that might have been endowed with our capacity for reason, for consciousness, and that was when the first, you could say, human began lah. So yeah, I think it's totally compatible. For me, science stuff like evidence of the Big Bang, all these kinds of stuff, I think it's completely compatible with the faith that I believe in. There's even some arguments that point towards the fact that there is a Big Bang shows that there was a beginning of the universe, right? Because there are other models of the universe where it's like the universe was eternal, there wasn't a point in time there was beginning. But
that's what I believe in.
Yeah, but in Christianity, the belief is that there was a creation, right? There was a point in time by which everything was created. And so I honestly hold the personal view that the fact that the Big Bang shows that 13.8 billion years ago, there was a point in time by which creation occurred, right?
Yeah.
Space and time itself, everything that followed, chemistry, physics, biology, maths, all that followed after that, right? I think it actually points towards something that is timeless, spaceless, enormously powerful, that had to be the cause of that, which I believe is God.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's completely compatible.
Okay.
Yeah, and also touching on like ancient civilization, I've listened to this podcast once where they say there was this part of the world that was mapped out in like I think the 1500s. It was mapped out and it showed like actual land with animals. They even drew like tiny animals, like what kind of species of animals were found on that part of land. But in the later part of the maps, there was no land anymore. Because, I don't know, it has been submerged underwater or whatever. So they believe that at those parts of the world, right, it's now believed to be inhabitable, like the Amazon forest, certain deep parts of the forest, they believe that there's no people or beings living there because it's just simply not enough for humans to actually live inside there in the deep parts of the jungle. But they actually do believe that in the earlier years, there were people like a more advanced civilization that have actually lived there before and nobody knew about them. Like they just somehow, maybe because of like diseases and whatever, they don't have medications or whatever to like, treat it. And they just died off without anybody even knowing they existed. And then now, like maybe many years later, they found certain evidence that, there were people that actually lived there before. Or maybe they were massacred by some
That's
people.
possible, yes.
Which is really possible, so you never know. Yeah, but it's really interesting to
It's
like
interesting,
find out
yeah.
about all these kind of things. Yeah.
Well, I have unfortunately, but like I've met Christians that like everything's literal, 24-hour cycle days, right? The world was created 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. And I've disagreed with them because I don't see the Bible to be such a simple, literalistic book.
Yeah, that was my dad. I think he changed, but like that was him back
Is it?
then. Like everything he told me, like, oh, don't believe in this dude. This is not real. Bible didn't say this. Then I'm like, it's the same thing. Like I believe as you like I don't think people back then wrote everything literally. Like I don't think so.
Yeah. Like even when I found out about this, the person that came up with the Big Bang Theory, right? Like there was two guys. One of them, I think his name is George Lemaitre or something like that. He was actually a Roman Catholic priest. So it's like
Shit.
you
Okay.
see, like did he just go and discover the way to disprove his religion? Like
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of famous scientists to this day also are both Christians and in their own expert areas, Like, Richard Dawkins, one of the most famous atheists out there, right? He's a biologist. He has debated John Lennox, a famous mathematician from Oxford, on the subject of whether God exists and all that. So are we to say that, that science and religion is completely incompatible, yet there are so many of these smart people out there that somehow hold science to be true and religion as well?
Yeah. Actually, I don't think, even though I don't really believe, but I think there's like a very fine line between science and religion. Because I do think that it answers to a lot of things. Because eventually, like, a lot of things are spiritual also. Like, they are spiritual, but also, like, there's like energy behind things. And the energy is where, like, science comes into play. Yeah. Or, like, philosophy.
Yeah, exactly. Because ethics, you can't experiment ethics in a test tube, right? Like, these are things that needs to be talked about, and maybe religion focuses on those areas much more than science can or ever will. So
Anyway, we've been talking so fucking long. Oh my god, guys! Like our longest podcast, and it's with straight people. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, Adam and Anjuli, for joining us in today's episode. I think I learned so much today, and I feel like this conversation has opened my eyes a lot. Even though I talk to you all the time, like I still feel like there's so much that I've learned, and that's
same here.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it.
Okay, are we ending the podcast?
Yes, we are.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye
Thank you
everyone.
for
You're not gonna
watching.
hear from us for another 2 months.
Fuck, it's bloody long way.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all gonna take that. I think who edits it? Is it just you?
It's me.
Yeah.
Ah, dear.
I know, right?
Well.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Bye. Jesus fucking Christ.
I have to pee. It's my turn.
Right.
Shit.
Oh my god. It's so long, so long.
Is there a way to off this?
Hey, yeah, I was thinking also can we cut it into 2 parts, but then that means we have to record and be like, we talked too long, here's part 1, and then welcome back to part 2, you don't have to do that.